live around the world, this is Paper Cuts with Brad and Jay.
We'll just get this out of the way here. Thanks for joining us on Brad's show.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my show. I did not say shenanigans. Okay.
Are you drinking already?
No, I've just got water. Always looking smooth, aren't you?
Yeah, I do it. I try to clean it up for the show. Look, one of us has to. Come on.
This evening we are joined by Tim McGregor. We are live.
Well, hello there. How the hell are you? Good evening,
God.
everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Another exciting episode of Paper Cuts. I'm the one you love. I'm Jay. Thanks so much for stopping by. Over there's Brad. It's his show.
It's his show. That's why I'm the host, and we just love Jay.
This is kind of like the first show of the year. The first official show, right?
Todd's didn't count, right?
Well,
don't
that
forget
was
about
a
Todd.
cover reveal. That was a cover reveal. That was a special one.
That wasn't a cover reveal, Jay. It was a re-release.
The launch party. My gosh, I've done screwed this
Jay.
up. Yeah, it's a launch party, a relaunch party.
There you go.
This is the first real interview.
Right.
Everyone, we're going to go north of the border today. Tim McGregor, how the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, man.
We're hanging out. Great. Yes. What are you normally doing on a Friday night instead of, hanging out with these two bozos here?
You know what? I'm usually just I'll kick back and watch a bit of TV, and then I'll hit my laptop and start work, or try to anyway.
What are you normally watching?
You know what? I don't know. It's kind of all over the place. I mean, I love horror movies, but I find I spend more time just browsing. To be honest, I'm so moody. I don't know. I can't decide on anything.
Are you one of these that has like 25 different streaming devices, but then you can't find anything and you just end up watching The Office over and over and over? That's what I do. I mean, I got like every single streaming device, but I just watch The Office.
I'm exactly the same way. Go back to some comfort thing. I just finished watching Veep for the fourth time, I think.
Right. It's like I could get rid of like Prime and Netflix and Paramount, but I don't.
Me and my wife are so bad about that. We'll be scrolling through Netflix, like, oh, that movie's like 2.5 hours. We'll probably fall asleep. We should watch it next time. Right. And we spend 2.5 hours scrolling for a movie to pick when we could have just picked that first one.
Yeah, true. I have found lately I really like just scrolling through Tubi because they have such strange, weird stuff I've never heard of.
Right.
And a lot of it's terrible, but a really cool gem.
I think they like market themselves on it's going to be terrible, but people are going to watch it. It's almost like the old episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000. You have to watch it and make fun of it. There's a lot of weird horror off the wall stuff that's so low budget and horrible that they become cult classics to you.
I think Ronald Malfi said some of the stuff he ghost wrote, it might be on Tubi, like one or two of his movies.
There is. I think we have to maybe have a watch party of one of the ones he told us about.
They all sounded completely atrocious, but great.
Definitely. Well, it's a pleasure having you here tonight. Thank you so much for agreeing to hang out with these two dopes with microphones here. Your name's all around the world right now because of your latest release. Brad, you wanted to kick something off with a weird question, right?
No, it's not a weird question. It's a very serious question.
Okay.
I told Tim off air I was going to hit him with the hard-hitting question right off the bat. So, and this could be controversial depending on what your answer is. So what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
In a pinch, I can always go for mint chocolate chip.
Nice. That's one of my favorites.
I'm actually not a huge ice cream fan. I've never have been. Here's an interesting question. Do you guys have Tiger Tail ice cream down there? Have you ever heard of it?
I've never heard of it.
I read it in your book. I kept thinking, what is it? I was thinking, is it yellow and chocolate or something?
I feel like it's caramel striped or something.
No, it's black licorice in orange.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's really terrible. But I think it's just a Canadian thing. It's so bad it probably is Canadian.
So for those wondering, just completely runs it.
Yeah. For those wondering, we're talking about his latest WASPS and the ice cream.
Comes out next week, right?
Yeah. Nice. Next February 7th, which is only a few days away.
Released with Raw Dog Screaming Press this time around.
Well, it never came out originally.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I probably should have said it that way, right? But there's some ice cream mentioned in here, some atrocious ice cream.
Yeah.
And yeah. When I first read that, I was like, how can ice cream be bad? But I guess it can be if it's black licorice and whatever else is mixed with that.
Orange cream.
Yeah, or just that cheap stuff that your parents used to buy when you're a kid, the no name, just
comes in the cardboard box.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like Neapolitan. Remember that god awful ice cream with the chocolate?
My kids love that though. Still,
I like Neapolitan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you find a decent brand, they have different brands. Yeah. If you find,
I suppose.
Yeah.
If you're just getting like the Walmart brand that's in like a 5-gallon bucket, that's not very good.
Yeah. I wonder why this is $1.99. Well, now you know.
Jay, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Probably cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream,
or that's a good one. Chocolate stuff. I mean,
yeah. So I'm not a big fan of the chocolate stuff. I like mint chocolate chip because there's not too much chocolate. Yeah, but that's probably the only chocolate ice cream I'll eat.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I'm not too big. I like the real vanilla with the vanilla beans in it.
Yeah. The French vanilla bean.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not too picky when it comes to ice cream. If it's ice cream, I'll eat it. Except
just whatever flavor,
whatever.
Tiger.
I'll send you a box in the mail.
Go
for it.
It probably won't melt by the time it gets here because it's just so disgusting.
It's true.
It'll
yeah,
just be a big brick.
Yeah, it's not really ice cream. It's something totally different.
So where did the I know from the book what happens in the book, but how did you come up with the title for Wasps in the ice cream? Because that's a very unique title.
It just came out of the story because the main character, works at a crappy little ice cream stand, and he's has to pick out the dead wasps in the morning every time he goes into work. The original title for this was what was it? It was really bad. No One Liked You. That's what the original title.
No One Liked You.
Yeah, which a couple of friends convinced me was not a great title.
So it's a little telling of the story.
Yeah, a little mean spirited too, which probably not the best thing to do. But I don't know. It's a weird title, but I think it works because a lot of people kind of comment on when they see it. They either comment on how weird the title is or how gruesome the cover is, which got really lucky with Keelan Patrick Burke did that. His Alder Lemon Designs. Mm-hmm. He's an amazing artist.
Yeah, I love the title. The title's super intriguing. Like, what is it about? Are there really wasps in ice cream? Is it a metaphor for something else? It's a super cool title.
Well, originally, Wasps in the Ice Cream was going to be about a group of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants trapped in a giant ice cream, but that was a stupid premise, so I didn't go.
Stupid premise.
Not everybody's gonna get that, right? They're not gonna understand it. So.
Yeah.
So reading this, I was just wondering, is any of this true to you? It's somewhat of a coming of age story, a little bit. Yeah. Any of these actions actually happened to you when you were a kid, or just totally made up?
No, there's a lot of it of that stuff. A lot of my story in me. I didn't throw firecrackers at the strange girl town, but I'm sure, like, I've always kind of been attracted to the weird girl in town, and I put a bunch of little things. Like, there's a story of the main character when he's a kid jumping around in an abandoned car, only to have not to realize that there's a wasp nest under the seat, and they come out and attack him and his friends. That one's a true story. Because I remember getting home just completely stunned. I was surprised I wasn't, poisoned by it. But yeah, it was when I had the original. I had the idea for the story, and then I decided to set it in the 80s because that's when I was a kid. Just for some veracity, some authenticity I could pull from my own life. So they have there's little bits all through that book that are part of my history.
I really like coming of age stuff set in like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Right.
I don't like it where it's more modern, like I guess 2010s and stuff with all the technology. I don't know. There's something about it that just it's not as magical, I guess you could say. When you can just text your friend and say you ride your bike around town and stuff like that. Just I don't know, something about it that just doesn't click as well as when it's set.
Well, because when you're older, it seems like it's more authentic when it's decades ago, I think, you know.
Yeah.
And plus, if you do a coming of age like in the 80s, you have the whole satanic panic you could tie in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shit going on in the
Yeah.
80s. There's also a huge, like, the kids' safety is much more of a concern now. Like when we were kids, you know, your parents would just say at the
Go play
summer,
outside.
yeah, don't come home till it's dark, or just
Right.
Yeah.
whereas the fear of stranger danger
Mm-hmm.
has everybody keeping their kids on a tight leash. Plus technology, all the kids got phones and stuff now too. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a different era, and I'm sure if you go back even further, kids that had even more leeway. Like God knows what they were up to.
So is that do you like coming of age stories yourself? I mean, this one's coming of age. You wrote it, but do you tend to read other coming of age stuff and enjoy it?
Not too many, but there are some that I like.
Mhm.
You know, there's classic like Tom Sawyer stuff like that. That's cool. Recently, though, I haven't read a lot, so yeah, I don't know what's. Yeah, I didn't really set out to tell a coming of age story. It was more just the premise.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, like I said, when I was kind of mining my own history, a bunch of weird stuff kind of comes up, and you're like, "Oh man, that was weird." Like looking back on it as an adult, but at the time you're a kid, and like strange stuff happens, and you don't really think about it. And then later on, you're kind of like, "That's a little iffy." But
Did this end up the way you wanted it? Because there's some, I asked that because there's some pretty dark things to happen in this, you know, and I don't want to give anything away for the people watching right now, but did you set out to make these dark, some of these depressing situations really happen, or did you just kind of write as you were writing it, did it come to you, I'm going to go this direction or that direction?
I kind of wanted it to be realistic. I certainly didn't want it to be like a rose-colored nostalgia trip.
Right.
I wanted to explore how mean kids can be to each other at that age, especially the need to be in the tribe and not be cast out, and what kids can do to each other just to stay popular or not be cast out. I didn't want to paint it with a too rosy a brush or anything. And again, like part of the point was in the story, the main character Mark is kind of realizing that his friends, the friends that he's had for most of his life, aren't really great people.
Right.
And that point where you're kind of like you're growing up and coming into your own, kind of realizing that, you know, my best friend is not just an asshole, but he's like an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
Or he's got a head full of bad wiring. It's like, maybe I shouldn't be in this friendship anymore. Which
are like Kevin and Eric based off any real people you like friends growing up, or are they just kind of just completely made up?
There's bits and pieces of people that I knew along the way. I never had a friend who was crazy as Kevin, this combat Kevin, the violent one.
Yeah.
But I have had friends who were just, you know, the kind of friend who had where he was just trouble. Like he just attracted trouble, or he was the first one to just dive into some crazy situation.
Your parents already said not to hang around him.
Don't hang around him.
Yeah, it's bad news.
And then that made you want to hang around him even more.
Yeah. Nothing's more attractive than something that's taboo, right? Yeah, and just the shit you would get up to.
So while I was reading it, and it is a coming of age story, just taking place in the 80s. I was just going a little deep, thinking, okay, you see how there's a bullying aspect to the story. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this could only happen really in the 80s because, you know, bullying became something kind of big and nationwide, late 90s, 2000s, where, you know, things started happening because of it. And now, you know, schools are different and the world's kind of different. So I see why you picked like a decade yesteryear to kind of get that aspect across, because now, yeah, and like Brad said earlier, if this was like 2010 and we were doing this kind of bullying and stuff, there'd be a lot of different outcomes than what's actually in this book.
Yeah, true. And like what we're also saying, just the setting it back then, you don't have to worry about technology and like, you know, there was no bullying, anti-bullying thing.
Right.
You know, teachers just turned a blind eye and parents kind of were clueless, or, easier to conceal stuff from them. Or maybe it's
Mhm.
easy, it's easier for kids to conceal stuff now. I've got 2 teenagers. God knows what it is,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know. It's just there's just something. There's a different vibe between stuff set now and stuff set in like the 80s and stuff. Just
Yeah,
feels just
I agree.
completely different. Everything about it.
I agree.
Do you know any witches? Just throwing it out there. Do you know any witches? I just because again, I mean, it's a coming of age story. I kind of was thinking of some of the stuff that you experienced yourself. Did you grow up with any witches? I mean, I just wondered.
I had a couple cousins who were like seriously into, you know, the kind of weird stuff you would get up to as a kid, like trying to lift a friend with 2 fingers and psychic kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I've always been a sucker for the girl who had her own tarot cards and that kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody really, I never knew anybody who made witch bottles or really thought they could cast spells, but yeah, I've had a lot of friends who have almost too vested into the paranormal or possibly occult thing. Like, it's interesting from a distance, but then it's like, that's enough of that. Thanks.
It's a little too far off the deep end.
Yeah. I like it in my fiction, not in my real life too much. But
Like I found myself wondering, did I go to school with anyone like that? I was trying to think back to the 80s, and it's hard. My memory shot, but I was like,
Right.
did I go to school with anybody like this? And I couldn't think of. I remember a few people like dressed all in black with the really black eye stuff, you know.
The
and all
goth,
but
the goth kids.
they were more goth, yeah. So
sure.
I don't know about any witches I went to school with.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows, right? Sometimes it might be a fine line between like believing in astrology and doing tarot cards, and then, you know, straight on devil worship. Who knows?
Yeah. And like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but I like that what supernatural stuff is in there
Mm-hmm.
is not necessarily supernatural. Like it could just be
Right.
normal stuff. It could be something else. Like you wrote that line really well of, is it something paranormal, supernatural? Is it just normal? You know, the wind blowing the
Coincidence, yeah.
candles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
like that you didn't go, at least as far as I've been, you haven't gone full bore just off into the supernatural realm. You're like right on the edge of, is it or is it not? I like that. That makes it feel more realistic too.
Right. Which is funny because normally I don't mind that in books as long as it's done well. But usually,
Mhm.
at some point, I usually want it to go one way or the other. Like if it's stop hinting that it's supernatural, just come out and say it, or just have it go all the way. But it's funny because here I try to walk the line the whole way through.
Right.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of it, at least as far as I've gotten in it.
No, thanks.
And I don't know, it really bothers me when like it's either or all the way up until, and then like the end, they just like throw all this supernatural stuff at somebody,
Right.
like where it could have been either or the whole time. And maybe you'll do that to me. I don't know.
Not to give any spoilers or anything, but there's a scene that happens, and you feel bad for Mark. He was about to, you know, something's about to happen, and the supernatural thing kind of shows up in the car.
Right.
Like, oh man, came so close. I don't know if you're there yet, Brad, or not, but you'll get there.
I don't think I'm there yet. I got like 20 pages left or something.
Yeah. So, oh well. I wanted to ask, and we don't have to dwell on the situation in the past of, you know, where the book was before it ended with Raw Dog, but when all of that happened and your book wasn't released yet, I mean, you had copies out to some reviewers and stuff. Were you ever worried about it getting picked up again, or did you just know it was good enough that someone was going to grab it? I mean, what was going through your mind during that time?
You know, I was pretty confident I could find another publisher for it. And I did have a lot of people reach out to me, like a lot of other indie presses reach out to me during that time, that awful weekend when it happened.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like really nice to see. And I thought I'm just going to I'm not going to rush into anything. I'm going to talk to different people and see what I can do. And fortunately, I ended up with Raw Dog, and I have I sort of have Becky Spratford to thank for that. She's a librarian library consultant. She runs a website where she recommends specifically horror books to libraries.
Okay.
And I went to StokerCon, and I got to meet Becky, who's an amazing person. And she pulled me aside and said, "You got to meet Jennifer at Raw Dog." I think because she knew this, Becky knew the situation, so she thought it would be a good fit, and the rest kind of became history. So
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, I'm really glad it ended up with Raw Dog because they've been great to work with.
Yeah.
And I've been blown away at how they got the advanced reader copies out there. They got a ton of them out there, like including like paperbacks, not just e-copies. And the publicist Erin Elmari.
I can't say enough good things about her. She's just,
Yeah. Aaron's great.
And Jennifer Barnes at Raw Dog. Even Raw Dog put up pre-orders on their website for the book a while ago, but then Jennifer decided just to start fulfilling them instead of waiting for release day. And now all of those copies are popping up all over Twitter and Instagram and stuff. So the response has been phenomenal, and the sort of marketing promotional work has been really, really outstanding. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. So
yeah, I was
That's
going to
cool.
ask you about your response because, like, you know, you have us showing it around, but I mean, do you feel like the response is big enough? People are just showing it that you could step back, relax a little bit, or do you think you need to keep, you know, putting in everybody's face, "Hey, come buy my new book"? You know,
Buy the new book. Buy it.
because you have us doing it. You know, we're like, "Hey, do it." So
you know what, they've done such a good job, and people have been posting about it when they get copies and stuff. I don't feel desperate to get on Twitter and go buy my book because I don't really like doing that too much.
right.
You know what I mean? Like nobody likes that somebody just saying buy my book.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Yeah, I haven't really felt desperate to do that because the publisher and Aaron have done such a good job, and people seem to be honest, like responding to it really well. So, like I said, commenting on the cover or the title and stuff, it's the response has been great. I'm really, really happy with it. So, especially so after, you know, the bad news that the book went through, and then going through all this and seeing the kind of response that's been happening has been really, really heartwarming. So.
I'm glad it found a new home because it was like a week out originally before all the stuff happened.
Yeah.
Which is I think Jay, you said you got your arc, and then like the next day, Silver Shamrock closed shop.
I received this one, Jeremy Hepler,
right.
And
it was Ronald Kelly.
Ronald Kelly, and then it all happened the next day, and I was like, oh,
yeah. Everyone's.
I don't know if that's a good thing that it didn't actually come out because I know it's harder to maybe get republished if it's like it's already been published somewhere else and try to find a new home for it.
Right.
Maybe that was a blessing in disguise. Maybe.
Maybe. It already, you know, it already had a great review in the Library Journal, which is a pretty prestigious. It's a magazine that recommends books for librarians to buy for their libraries. It had a great star in there, a great review in there, which was kind of cool.
I think that's on the back too, isn't it? The Library Journal. There was a blurb on the back for Library Journal.
Yeah. So it was a shit show, and now it's a funny story that I can tell.
And you got to keep the original cover, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which Keelan was great. He said, "Yeah, sure," you know, because Jennifer asked me, like, "Do you want to keep the old cover, or do you want to try with something new?" And I was like, you know, I kind of like that gruesome cover.
Yeah.
So,
I like Keelan's work. He does good stuff.
Yeah,
It's always
Keelan's a lot of fun. When did we talk to him last? October, November, sometime? Yeah,
somewhere in there. And I just realized, like this week, that the actual ice cream is the whole thing is a wasp nest and not a piece of ice cream with wasp inside.
Right.
Like that just hit me the other day. Yeah, it's such a cool cover.
Yeah.
Did you I don't know if you follow Max Stark on Twitter. Did you see like the redesign he did?
I did. I loved his redesign, and
that was super cool.
To be honest, when Jennifer asked me if I wanted to keep the new cover or go with something new, I did kind of think like, wow, Max did that great cover because what he did with it was really wild.
Yeah.
But I decided to go with keep with the first one. But yeah, Max Stark is a really talented artist. I love the stuff he does.
Yeah. And Chad Lutsky has been raving about this book probably since anybody ever heard of it. He
Yeah.
was talking about how great it is.
I had asked Chad if he would blurb it, and he did, which is great. But I also actually really learned something. He when I first asked him, he gave me this great response saying, "I'll take a look at it, but I can't promise you anything because I can't promise that I will like it or whatever."
Yeah.
I forget the way he worded it, but I've kind of adopted that into my own approach. Sometimes if somebody asks me for a blurb, because it's a huge thing to ask somebody to give a blurb, because you're not just asking them for their time in reading, but asking for their sort of professional reputation. So anyway, and I said, fair enough. If you don't like it, you don't have to blurb it or anything. Right. But he did. He liked it, and he gave me this great blurb, and he's been championing it ever since, which has been amazing to see. So thank you.
He told us that before, that he'll only blurb it if he actually likes it. He's not going to say, "This book's great, go out and buy it," if he didn't think that.
Yeah, and I could totally understand his thinking too, because I wouldn't want to feel obligated to give a good blurb on a book that I really didn't like just because I wanted it to be nice or something. So yeah,
I mean, it kind of feels dishonest if you're saying it like that. Like, oh, everyone buy this book, but me, I didn't really like it.
Yeah, exactly.
It is an investment for the person blurbing it, because they got to spend the time to actually read it too. To come up with a proper blurb. Something might happen that gives them a special feeling. They want that in the blurb, and you have to spend time reading it too. So
yeah.
It's not like where Stephen King blurbs everything, and half the stuff he blurbs is not very good.
Yeah,
maybe he really likes everything though. I don't know. Maybe he has.
I don't know. Benedict Little's been using the same blurb on all of his books for probably.
Stephen King might have low standards. I don't know.
Why not though, right? It's Stephen King, but
that's right. He can say whatever he wants to.
Yeah. Although, have you guys? I can't remember. I can't remember where I heard this, and I don't even know if it's true. But I heard that he charges for blurbs, not so much to make money, just as a stopgap, because he gets asked so much. So he's got to. And I don't know if he keeps the money or sends it to charity or anything, but just to ask, you have to be able to put up. I don't know if it's $5,000 or $10,000 or something ridiculous.
Goodness gracious, that's great. I haven't heard that.
But I don't know if that's true. I just remember hearing it, but I've never seen it confirmed anywhere. So
that would be a bad idea for somebody as big as him, though. Like if he turned around and did give it to some sort of charity or something, that would be pretty interesting. Yeah.
I'm sure he gets flooded with read my book, read my book, read my book.
He must, because he's probably the biggest name, right? Like, There's been more than a few writers who've been fairly obscure until he endorses them on Twitter, and suddenly their book just blows up.
Right.
Yeah. Like
it's like Oprah.
Catriona Ward, he blurbed Last House on Needle Street, and then that book just exploded, went viral.
Yeah.
And I agreed with that blurb because I really like that book. So I agree with him on that one.
Yeah.
So where did the for WASP, where did the original idea come from? Did it start out with the WASP stuff, or was it just the nostalgia of the stuff growing up as a kid and kind of putting it all together? Or
you know what it was? I normally don't remember where I get the ideas from. It's usually just one idea smashes into another one. But with this one, I was in the car and I was listening to this radio show, and they were talking about The Virgin Suicides, which is a book I hadn't read or even seen the movie. But just them talking about the premise of the book, which is somebody looking back at their time as a kid, and everyone was in love with the girls in this one family. Something about it really kind of, attracted me to it, and then kind of stuck that with We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Like those two kind of ideas kind of shook together. And what's funnier still is, like, I remember where I got the inspiration for it, and a couple of reviewers have actually seen the Virgin Suicides connection. But I never read the book or even seen the movie. So after I had plotted out most of the book, I thought, well, maybe I should take a look at the movie at least, before reading the book, if it's whatever. And I only got through half an hour of that movie, and I turned it off because I hated it. Nothing, not to be a dick or anything, but it was just the way the nostalgia was framed, and these girls were presented as almost otherworldly and angelic. It's kind of like, oh, please, I can't do this. So I haven't watched the movie or read the book, but it was an inspiration, sort of.
I've never seen the movie or read the book, but I did catch your the castle book, or whatever you said it was. I caught
Yeah.
that reference in here.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very. I mean,
I'm completely went out of my head. What is it? The last?
we've always lived in the
Yeah,
castle.
we've always lived in the castle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books, and probably because the narrator, the voice of the narrator is so strong. Like, she's such a weirdo, and she's so firmly believes in what she's doing, in terms of like casting some kind of spell or whatever. Yeah, it's a fantastic book.
Did you make any kind of changes to this from the original version?
Between
between the publishers.
No, not really. Jennifer went through it, and there was maybe a handful of small things like word choices here and there, but not very much. It's pretty much the same thing. So,
I know the formatting is different. Did you want to change the format? Like, because it's a lot shorter than, like, the story's the same, but it's like 100 pages shorter than it originally was.
Well, the thing is, I only saw the original paperback once. Somebody had it and asked me to sign it. So I wasn't really familiar with what the original one looked like, but I'm happy with how it looks now. I like kind of this condensed version.
Yeah.
And there's strange little wasps being used as scene breaks.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
I liked it being shorter like this because it made me feel like I can actually get through it. You know, I mean, I'm being serious because sometimes I get intimidated by some of the fatter, like we were talking before we went on air here, that, you know, my time to read is getting shorter and shorter. So I saw it was a thinner book. I was like, hey, I can get through that in time for the show. So I kept telling myself that's what it was. So I psyched myself out. Yeah.
I do that all the time. If I'm looking at a book, I look at how long it is, because sometimes I just don't have the time or the stamina to like take on a doorstop of a book.
I got through Lure 2 days. That was
Lure's short one, isn't it?
That was short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this 115 pages or so? Yeah.
So when did you start writing WASP?
It was a couple years ago. Yeah, I'm trying to think. 2018, maybe I wrote it, somewhere around there, or maybe 2019.
You wrote it. Did you write it before Lure and Taboo in 4 Colors?
Yeah, I did. I wrote Heart, Strange, and Dreadful, which came out with Off Limits in 2021.
Right.
So I wrote that, and then I wrote Wasp and the Ice Cream. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I like
so Wasp. I wrote Wasp after I wrote Hearts. So
when you finish a book, go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, I made a joke that he's going to see how many publishers you can actually get with, because like
one each publisher.
Yeah, Lure's with Tenebras, and Hearts is Off Limits. Taboo is Cemetery Gates.
Yeah,
Cemetery Gates. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good to spread out though, because if one goes under, then you don't have to worry about getting all your books.
I haven't broke spine yet on this one. I'm not open. I'm
not
opened it yet, so just
that wasn't really planned. It was more just a sort of circumstance. Like, I'd written Lure and was pretty happy with it. And I saw that I've been seeing Tenebris pop up, like the press itself, plus Alex Woodrow, who's their editor. And they had a open submission window, and I thought, let's try this one, because I'd picked up one of their Gothic anthology, and I liked it a lot. I liked the formatting of it. So yeah, they had an open call, so I sent it in, and then a little while, because I had written Lure and Taboo pretty close to each other. And then after that, there was Sadie Hardman had an open submission period for her new My Dark Library.
Yeah.
With Cemetery Gates. And I thought, well, I just finished one. I might as well send it in, because I know Sadie, not personally, but, I knew who she was, and I was seeing what she was doing. I was like, I like who she is, and I would like to be part of that novella series. So
did you for the cover for that, did you get to work with Christina, or was that Sadie picking the cover artist and stuff?
That was pretty much saying that. That was pretty much Sadie. Sadie asked me for some thoughts, but she had. Yeah, there's
trying to get glare off of it for you, but yeah.
she kind of she'd read it, and she's like, she showed me a cover of an old pulp magazine or old pulp novel. It's like I was seeing something like this, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's exactly what this book is. So she just kind of Sadie talked to Christina of True
Born Designs.
True Born Designs, and Christina came up with that fabulous cover, which I absolutely adore. Like it screams Pulp Fiction so much.
It looks like a hard case crime cover. Is what it looks like.
It looks very pulpy. I've been kind of getting some of the crime noir pulpy stuff lately, and the books I'm looking at look a lot like the setup. So that's pretty cool.
Big and loud.
Is that one horror at all, or is it just kind of pulp crime stuff?
It's.
I know crime and horror kind of mix and blend over with each other.
Yeah, it is horror, but it's also kind of just crime, like crime thriller kind of thing. It's a bit of a mix, but I'm not sure what it is.
So when you go from like writing that to Lure, do you go in with like a different mindset? Like Lure is just like kind of folklore, straight up horror, as opposed to this one's more crime, or do you kind of approach them the same way?
It really depends on what the story is. Like I knew Lure, I knew that I wanted that to have a fairy tale fable like quality to it in the story, in the narrative voice. And with Taboo, because it's about a comic book artist working at a sort of a third-rate comic book company in New York City. The hard-boiled sort of voice just kind of came out, it just seemed natural. And it was a hell of a lot of fun to write, just to dip your toe in that sort of that kind of language or cadence or whatever. Excuse me.
Do you think you'll write more kind of crime stuff going forward?
I wouldn't mind. I really had fun with this, and I'm sure I'll try it again at some other point in whatever capacity. But like you were just saying, like there's a lot of blurring between sort of horror, crime, thriller. So it's not really a big leap.
No, because I see a lot of the crime people in like the horror circle on Twitter and stuff, even though they don't write any horror, but they're all like S.A. Cosby and Bo Johnson. They're horror stuff, or they're crime writers, but I see them.
Because I think some of their crime actions become a little horrific actions,
Right.
So when I read Lure, I was like, Tim's a fisherman, because I mean it was so deep. It was so deep in detail as far as like this fishing village. Like, are you a fisherman, or did you just do some research, or what?
No, I'm not a fisherman. I kind of hate fishing, actually. I'm all for like getting in a canoe, casting a line, and taking a nap. That's like
I won't even go that far. Yeah, I'm not water stuff. Yeah,
but I'm not really fishing. It's more just came out of all the sort of stuff I've read before, kind of knowing, just gleaning stuff from that way, and then just doing some research, specific kind of, if I needed a certain term or something. But no, it's mostly just it came out of reading Moby Dick or sort of classic sea horror kind of stuff or fairy tales.
Did you set out from the beginning to, and I could be totally off mark with this, but did you set out from the beginning to mix politics and religion in Lure the way they worked, and to see how they clash, or is that just my interpretation? I'm going in the wrong direction, but
no.
Okay.
I'm not sure how intentional it was. I mean, I'm always kind of banging on about with religion in some capacity, which is just to be in my own bonnet. But with this, I knew I wanted it to be a village of where the social mores and culture is very sort of strident in their gender conformity, very masculine men and women do this, and then to throw a mermaid in it that could just tear it all apart.
Right.
And just in terms of the story, having the main character, the son of the vicar. I mean, I knew that the vicar of the church would be useless to stop this thing. And making the main character the son of the vicar, kind of put him in the middle of all that, knowing what his father believes and what he's supposed to believe, and then his interactions with this mythical creature who ends up tearing them all apart.
Yeah.
Just my natural attack on the church, which every book, which is comes from being a recovering Catholic, I think.
Yeah.
Recovering Catholic.
I mean, I picked up on a lot of it. I was kind of grinning because, I mean, I'm not a big fan of, organized religion, but I was getting the whole, the family, the preacher of the fishing village, the whole family, they're like beggars, and I was just tying that into, how organized religion seems to have their, are we going to get banned if I go too far? I'm not going to go too far, but they seem to have their hand out a lot,
Yeah.
So I was just tying it together with.
You'll get me demonetized, Jay, and I'll lose 50 cents.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the politics of this village and how everything's just clashing with the way that people believe certain things. It's like the women folk didn't even matter. And it's just like the men were in charge, but you saw what happened with the men being in charge. So.
Yeah, which is just it's that's nothing new. It's what we see every day, like in our own society and in other societies. It's kind of like taking Handmaid's Tale and throwing a mermaid into it, seeing what happens.
I mean, it's also you're drawing off history because that's just how it was for however many hundreds of years too.
Yeah. In fact, I just finished reading this great. It's a dual biography of Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, and her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, who was, I think she wrote the first feminist piece in English literature. And just what they were both kind of railing against in terms of how powerless women were and how that created, tyrants in every home. Because, women had absolutely no power at all. They couldn't hold money. They couldn't hold property. They had no say. In fact, there was something about in Mary Shelley's time, you could just beat your wife senseless and nobody would blink an eye. So nobody would certainly put you in jail. They made one reform that said you couldn't beat your wife with anything larger than a broom handle.
Yeah, they had some really weird laws, but nothing to women. Yeah.
Yeah, and this, that wasn't the Middle Ages. That was like 1812.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. So, yeah, you don't have to look far to see that kind of systemic patriarchy or misogyny and patriarchal rule.
Mm-hmm. I might have this wrong, but wasn't she really young when she wrote Frankenstein, like 17, 18, 19? Is that true?
Yeah, she was. Yeah. Super young. And just surrounded by death. Like her own mother dies when she's born.
Mm-hmm.
And then she meets this dazzling young poet named Percy Shelley, and they elope. Well, they take off because he's already married. He's abandoned his wife and kid. They run off to Europe, and she has one baby that lasts about 2 weeks. And then she writes Frankenstein, and then she has another baby who lasts I think 2 years, and then she loses both him and her husband in the same year. It's just like this woman was just surrounded by death.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Christina's in the chat there. We were talking about your cover.
Hey, Christina.
Her ears must have been burning. So.
Thanks for a great cover.
Yeah.
So do you because I feel like with WASPS and Ice Cream set in the 80s, I don't know, does Lures say what year it's set?
It's not. Lures it is a
far away.
So it started off as historical, but then talking to Matt and Alex at Tenebris, they thought this would work better as just sort of dark, like a fantasy setting. So yeah, there's no dates on it, obviously, but it's clearly meant to be a sort of very much like a medieval kind of fiction village. So.
And then Heart Strange and Dreadful is in the 1800s. So do you and does a Taboo in Four Colors, is that a certain time period?
That's
you said it was in New York.
1972.
Yeah, 72. There we go.
So do you like sort of doing these almost period pieces in a way?
I guess so. I mean, I can't remember the last time I wrote something that was present day. I don't know why that is. Because the last two things I've finished, I've got two unsold books that I just finished writing. One is 1945 and the other one is 1797. So yeah, I guess I just keep going for these historical periods. I don't know why.
Does the 1945 one involve World War II at all?
Yeah. It's about a woman, a resident of Berlin, trying to survive when the Soviets invade.
Just take my money right now. I'm already anything with World War II. I don't know.
Right.
I'm fascinated with that.
It's a pretty fascinating period, right? Like, I mean, almost every country in the entire world was affected by it, even if they were at war or not. But like looking back on it, it was pretty cataclysmic event in history.
So you have two books ready to go now? Yeah. Okay, so two new publishers.
We'll see. I haven't gotten that far yet. But
it's a long list. Your resume is going to be super long. Yeah.
So
what is your have you ever self-pubbed anything, or has everything been with a publisher?
No, I've self-published a lot actually. I have a series.
Is it the Bad Wolf one? Is that the
okay. Bad Wolf, which is a trilogy, and then I've got my Spook Show series, which is kind of a paranormal thing, which ran for like 11 books. So I've self-published a lot. Kind of learned a lot self-publishing and doing it that way. And I might go back if I've got a book that I think I can do better myself, or just wanted to do it. Like if I write some weird, strange thing. Self-publishing is fun, but it's kind of lonely because you're all on your own. And I really enjoy working with these indie publishers. They've been fantastic to work with, and having somebody else there to help carry half the load, or especially doing the promotion and marketing stuff, which is just tough to do. Like what works? How do you get your book in front of potential readers? So, and the presses that I've worked with so far, I'll have different approaches for that, and they all have great ideas. And so,
I really liked what you said with Jennifer sending the pre-orders out early. That's almost like an incentive to pre-order it because you might get it early. Right. I think that's a cool incentive.
Yeah.
Because I know pre-orders help to sell, kind of gauge the interest in it overall. So if you're pre-order it and get it early, that's even more incentive to go ahead and pre-order it. I think that's cool. Yeah,
and I've heard other people say that too, like how important pre-orders are, because it lets the publishers know the level of interest in it, and which again can go back to the level of interest from the bookstores. It's always interesting to see what people in other parts of the industry have to say about the business. Like I like seeing what Chance Forshee, the curator of horror.
Yeah,
I always like seeing his posts because he often talks about sort of the bookseller's angle of what's selling, or like he does his weekly top 10. You see what he'll list.
What they've sold at that Barnes and Noble for that week. Yeah,
which I find really, really interesting.
And he does really good about getting a lot of the small press indie stuff in his.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Which I know, like Todd Kiesling, where he lives, he's got a Barnes and Noble close, and I think he's tried to get his book in Barnes and Noble, and they just won't put it in there. So I guess it just depends on what store and location is if they do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Brad, you want to maybe get a game in and maybe give away a copy of WASPS afterwards?
You want to do a giveaway? Okay.
You want to do the game first, or you want to...
Whatever Tim wants to do. You want to play a game real quick, or?
Yeah, sure.
This absolute disaster of what this game's going to be.
That's what people
they're always just.
It's like a top my what was it with Bo, the crime trivia movie?
Crime trivia that he had like he had never seen any of the movies.
Yeah, so you're not going to top that. So
okay, the bar's been set pretty high.
It could be like a Christmas episode where you have
the Christmas episode,
Christmas
Megan Lucas, and
no one celebrated Christmas.
Okay.
All right,
We're
so
on top of ourselves here.
I didn't do a video for it, but we're gonna do some ice cream trivia since
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
ice cream is in the book.
Seeing as I'm not a big fan of ice cream, like I said,
Not
this ought to go great.
Would you like
This is
Tiger
par-
Tail?
This is par for the course for this show. And these are pretty easy, I think. All right. So question number, I think there's like 10 questions or so.
It's just Tim answering, or are we going against each other, or what? What are we doing?
If he doesn't get it right, I'll let you guess.
Okay.
All right.
So number one, what is the most popular ice cream flavor?
Clearly, it's Tiger Tail, like we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Absolutely. The black licorice ice cream, that just makes me cringe.
In orange, no less.
In orange.
Yeah.
That's right, Crystal. We wouldn't expect anything else for paper cuts as a mess. Jay, what do you think is the most popular ice cream flavor?
Preludes and I don't know.
Did you say Quaaludes or Preludes? Jay? What'd you say?
Yeah, probably Quaaludes if people are watching the show.
Quaaludes.
Yeah. Vanilla.
Vanilla.
Yeah.
So Tim already answered this one. What three flavors make Neapolitan ice cream?
Do you want me to say it again, or
Oh,
Yeah, say it again.
okay. Vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry? It is strawberry, isn't it? I don't know.
it
It's
is. Yeah.
strawberry.
Maybe I got it wrong.
Yeah.
It's pink.
Doesn't taste like strawberry, I don't think. But-
No, that's the thing, right? It doesn't even taste like chocolate. It just tastes like crayon flavor.
Crayon.
It's brown.
Yeah.
Which U.S. city is the hub of ice cream manufacturing in the United States? I'll give you multiple choice for this one. Multiple choice. So is it mostly manufactured in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, or Philadelphia?
I'll say Philadelphia. That sounds like an outlier.
Philadelphia, that's correct.
Yeah.
I feel like Miami would
That
be a
was the
horrible
oddball.
choice.
Yeah. Miami would be too hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someplace cold.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4, the ice cream cone originated at the World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. Which year did it originate? 1984, 1904, 1924, or 1944?
I'll say 1944.
I'm going to say 24.
24. It was 1904
Yeah.
when the ice cream cone was invented.
Crapshoot.
And I was looking this up. The Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest ice cream cone is 10 feet tall, which just seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is the correct spelling for ice cream sundae? What's the correct spelling for sundae when you're referring to ice cream sundae?
Hey, 3 years at Dairy Queen. I know this one.
Tim is the writer. It's on you, man. Don't spell Sunday wrong.
I think isn't it SUNDAE?
There you go.
It's like the day of the week. I got it right.
Yes.
Jay used to work at Dairy Queen.
I did.
I think you said that before.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was 14, yes, 13, 14, I started. So I did like 2 or 3 summers at Dairy Queen before I went to McDonald's.
So is that child slave labor?
Well, I mean,
13, 14?
yeah, I got like
Well, that was back in the
$2.50 an hour.
That was back in like the 50s. So yeah, you could work.
Yeah, exactly. I was getting like $2.50 an hour because I was under 16, and like, like they just like made us work crazy hours. Like, I was like, all right, I'm getting paid, and they paid us in cash, and it was like $35. I'm like, what the heck?
Cash.
All right, so this is movie trivia with the ice cream. So, what movie is not part of the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, which is directed and written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg?
You lost me already. What?
Yeah.
It's what movie is not part of the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy? It's a Hot Fuzz, Paul, The World's End, or Shaun of the Dead.
I have no clue. I'll say Shaun of the Dead just because I've seen that one.
That's not right. Jay, do you know?
I don't even understand the question still.
So there's 3 movies that Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright did together.
Right. No, I got that part.
There's considered a trilogy. So which one's not part of the trilogy? The trilogy in each movie, one of the characters goes and gets ice cream.
So I've heard of Hot Fuzz, and I've seen Shaun of the Dead. What were the other options?
So Hot Fuzz, and they've done all these movies. So these are all their movies, but one's not part of the trilogy. Hot Fuzz, Paul, which is the alien movie, The World's End, or Shaun of the Dead.
I'm saying Paul.
Paul's the one that's not part of
Yeah.
Christina knew. Look, Christina knows. She knows.
Oh, I didn't even see what she wrote that down here.
So apparently, in each one, like Hot Fuzz, one of them gets red ice cream, or no, the zombie one they get red ice cream because it's blood. The cop movie they get blue ice cream or whatever.
Okay. No, I didn't know that.
In what? In which country? This is going great, isn't it? In which country was Haagen-Dazs ice cream invented?
Germany.
See, that's a trick question. Is it
Oh,
Germany,
it's
the
for the
Netherlands,
U.S., isn't it? Yeah.
Denmark, or the United States?
They just made up that fucking name.
We just made it up, stealing somebody else's.
Was it the U.S. did it?
It's the U.S. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's probably from like Milwaukee or someplace like that.
Yeah. It's from Idaho.
From Ida.
Potato flavor.
All right, we'll do one more.
Let's do.
Which organization was freeze-dried ice cream created for?
Huh?
No multiple choice on this one.
Which organization?
Yeah, was freeze-dried ice cream created for?
NASA? I have no idea.
NASA. Yep.
Really?
Yep. So the astronauts could eat ice cream.
That's wow.
Freeze-dried ice cream. Is that like Dippin' Dots or something? Or
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it?
Dots,
Right,
basically.
right.
See, Christina knows. She's either cheating off the same sheet we're on, or
Don't mess with Christina, man.
she knows what's up.
Christina too.
So how would you like to give away a copy?
Yeah, for sure.
How are we going to do this?
So I figured we could do something simple, and Tim, you can do something different if you want to. It just in the comments, everyone can list their favorite ice cream flavor, and I'll put everyone on a wheel, and we'll spin it and see who wins. Whoever comments will put their name on a wheel.
Sounds good.
Who do
It
we
is.
have? We have Mitch in here. We have
It's
Christina.
U.S. and Canada only, though, so
Yeah.
no international people. Sorry.
Sorry.
Unless you want to pay for shipping yourself, fork over $50.
We just hate immigrants.
Just hate them all.
We hate outsiders.
So if you comment your favorite ice cream flavor, we'll put you on the spinny wheel in a second, and we'll spin for your chance to win a signed copy of Wasp and the Ice Cream.
Right.
Christina
it's
already
signed,
has a copy.
Christina. It's signed.
Maybe hers is signed.
Probably.
I don't know where this is.
So we'll let that go for a few minutes, and we'll spin the wheel here in a second.
Who's next on the show? Do you have that planned out yet, or?
We do. What's her name? Here.
Ashley Irwin.
This is the show that we canceled because I had the flu. We have Ashley. She's got a crime book.
Okay, that's an awesome cover.
It is a cool cover. Shotgun Honey Crime put this one out.
And in the following week, we have C.W. Blackwell.
CW
cool.
Blackwell.
Yeah. So we're doing some crime.
Can I tease the March one, Jay? Can I tease one in March?
Is it official? Well, we know one's official, right?
It'll be official. I'll just save it in case something happens.
I know. I mean,
I don't want to jinx it. I'm bad about that.
It's not locked in yet.
We haven't set an official date, but it's gonna happen.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't like to set, like a lot of the podcasts will say, if we have these people coming up this month,
Yeah.
but I don't like to do that because if I do that, everyone's gonna cancel.
we kind of sometimes fly by the seat of our pants.
Right.
Well,
Well,
we don't schedule so far. We don't schedule very far ahead.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to schedule somebody 6 months from now, and then one, I might forget. Two, something's going to happen. I can shut down the show at any time.
Sure.
And we both have kids, and their kids' schedules change
Yeah.
all the time. So,
But your show is different because it's live, right? Like as a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody could have like 20 episodes in the bank and then say, here's the year schedule.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and there are some that record like 4 or 5 a week, and then they spread them out and all. So we're just that probably would have been the smart way for us to do it, but we like the liveness of it.
but we're not.
No,
the live is a
live
bit
part
different,
is,
though.
is
So
the fun part.
hopefully that's the draw. That's the only reason we get people. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, one is pretty much set for March because he's got a book coming out shortly.
The King of Swag. Everyone knows who
the King of Swag.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other one you're still working on, right? Or I mean, she agreed, but
She wants to do it in March sometime. We just haven't set
Okay.
an exact date yet. It's a big one. I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah. So what do we have in the comments? We have strawberry for Mitch, mint chocolate chip for Crystal. Mindy also says mint chocolate chip. And Christina's saying cookies and cream, which that was my favorite.
Oh, there's I don't know what brand it is, but there's like a bourbon pecan ice cream that I really like.
Bourbon?
Really?
Bourbon. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's pretty good.
Must be from Kentucky.
I think it's a Kentucky brand. I think it's called I think it's Crank and Boom, which is out of Lexington, I think.
Right.
Where,
I think Laurel
lives.
created it, didn't she?
Probably.
Yeah. So you got the spinny wheel, or how you want to do this?
Yeah, I think I'm getting everybody on here. Mitch,
Okay.
Crystal. Christina, I'm putting you on there anyway because you already have a copy, but you'll be all right. Let's spin the wheel here. I'll share it. Where'd it go?
Yay.
Mindy wins.
I didn't see it spin.
I spun it before it shared it. I
Oh,
cheated.
okay.
I'm just going. So Mindy, you want to?
What was Mindy's? She said what?
Mindy likes mint chocolate chip, which that's Tim's favorite ice cream. That's what he said.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's appropriate. So Tim is going to Mindy. If you want to send me and Brad or one of us your address, we get it over to Tim, unless Tim's got a different way to get it.
Yeah. I'm assuming Mindy's in the U.S.
Yes,
You are. Send them your phone number because for me to mail stuff.
that's right. Yes.
I need a phone number for some reason. But.
So Mindy, if you want to go to our website and on the contact form, you can email us your contact
Or
info.
just
Or messages
email
on
or
Twitter.
messages on Twitter or whatever, Instagram, Discord. We talk different ways. So, but yeah, you do need your phone number. I remember Tim and you sent me lore. Tell me about that. Yeah. So. So while she's doing that, we were talking about earlier the series you'd done in the past, the Bad Wolf Chronicles and the Spook Show. Do you see yourself ever going back doing any more series like that, or do you like these one-offs more?
I'm enjoying the one-offs more as well. Like I did really enjoy the 2 series that I did, even the long one. But now, I think it's just standalone stories for me from now, unless I get a brilliant idea for a trilogy. But
just get in and get it done. You're out.
Yeah.
No carryover characters. No, like maybe 2-parters or anything like that.
No, I've always wanted to like somehow tie all the books together some way, the way that King did, or
McGregor universe.
Yeah, but I'm not that smart. I haven't figured a way to like thread them all in a row. But I think from now on it's just standalone stories, so I can just
start dropping Easter eggs in other books, like the year one. You said you just got one done that takes place in 1700s, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have the mermaid from Lore show up somewhere, just swimming by, waving at people. Just.
Oddly enough, a mermaid is mentioned in Taboo in 4 Colors, and one of the new one I wrote, there's talk of a mermaid as well. So I think it's maybe the mermaid's the way to tie them all together.
The Mermaid Chronicles.
You're starting the Tim McGregor universe.
Mermaid Core.
Yeah. Mermaid. For those just tuning in, we're just brainstorming the future of Tim's writing here. We're just planning it out right now. So
how long have you been writing for? Because that one book series you said was like 11 books.
Yeah. I've been writing, I don't know, for 20 years. Like if I think about it. Because before I was writing books, I worked briefly in film, writing B movies. So yeah, I've been writing for a while, I guess.
Well, now we need to know some titles of the B movies so we can look for them.
You know,
Are they
Are they
under Tim
on
McGregor or
Tubi?
are they under somebody else?
Yeah, and are they
No.
on Tubi? We were talking about that off the air. Can we
you
find?
know,
on
I did
Tubi?
find one not on TV, but I found one of my movies on one of those other free streaming sites. You know, those weird ones they have.
Yeah.
There's also the one I don't want to be associated with at all. It turned out offensive. It's like really, really awful. But there was the first movie, and these were just like genre straight to DVD kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was the title? It was Ultimate Killing Machine, but for some reason they called it UKM Ultimate Killing Machine. It's like that's the stupidest title ever.
So they abbreviated it and then told you what the abbreviation was.
Yeah, like it made no sense. And like the original title was Kill Switch, which I understand maybe it was being used for something they didn't want to be associated with, but to put that stinker of a title on, I was like, that's just dumb. But it had Michael Madsen in it, so
he does a lot of stuff. Some good, some really bad.
He works cheap. Or he does a lot, yeah.
So you were writing some B movie scripts. How many of those did you do?
I had 3 made.
Okay.
So which is fun, but working in film is a weird business, and it's a very collaborative business, and I don't know, it's a hard business to make a career in because the competition is pretty rough. But yeah.
Were all those films made in Canada or they made here in the States?
Yeah, no, they're all made in Canada. There's tons of film production that goes on in this country. Like American, they're American.
I know they film in Vancouver all the time and they say this is Chicago and they film it in Vancouver.
There's a lot of Netflix things filmed in Canada.
Yeah,
if you watch it to the very end, it will say filmed in Canada some places.
I know Vancouver and Montreal they use a lot for American cities.
Yeah. Toronto as well. There's tons of filming done here as well. But yeah, all these ones were made here. But yeah, which it was an experience. I learned a lot, but film is a weird business, and I wasn't really having fun. So
we've got a few people tell us that too. That it's just they've transitioned from the scripts to books and stuff. That you have more control over things, and you actually see it come to life more in writing a book. So,
yeah, for sure. Just because it's just the nature of the business, right? There are a lot of people involved in making a movie, and there's a lot of money. But the more people, it's kind of like the more people that are involved, the more it's easy. Like you have to get a yes every time it goes through another person, and all it takes is for someone to say no, and the whole thing collapses. Or the more people get involved, you've got a director, but you've also got tons of different producers. They all want to put their hand in there creatively, and it really starts to change. You're like, sometimes it's for the best, and sometimes it's like it turns into
it's too much.
Yeah, and it's a steamrolling train going out of the station, and it's full of shit.
Yeah, I would think you would lose a lot of control at one point. Like
totally. And
once the script gets out of your hand, you're done. So.
Yeah, and at the level that I was doing it in, like the last person I wanted to hear from was the writer, because they all had a better idea of what the movie was supposed to be than me. And I a funny story when we made UKM, like I wasn't even. I went to go visit the set just to see it. Like they didn't need me there. I was on set. I just trip over a cable and get in people's way. But I got to meet Michael Madsen, and he was asking me to change the scripts in the story, and I didn't have the heart to say, you know what, this thing's already done. They're not going to listen.
I wonder if we say UKM enough, we could get it trending on Twitter or something.
Well, I'm a picturing people just trying to pronounce it.
Yeah, Uncum.
Uncum.
That would be a better title. It's called Uncum.
Uncum.
And UKM, Ultimate Killing Machine.
I know LJ Doherty was in here. I don't know if he still is. He's in the chat, but he was talking about he started out writing scripts, but they were so kind of elaborate. He didn't think he'd ever get the money to make them, so he turned the script into his books and then put them out that way. Because he was like it's like a Bigfoot killing, like a party that go out in like the mountains and a bunch of rich people and there's Nazis involved and stuff. He just think he would never get the money to do it, so he turned it into a book so he could get it out to the world.
Yeah. So after, like, and not to shit on the film industry, like it's collaborative, so that stuff's going to happen. So going from there to just writing your book, and where the most you would have is one other editor giving you kind of creative feedback or critique. It's like night and day. Like I love writing books, and like to your point, there's no budget when you're writing a book, right?
Right.
You don't do anything.
So how did that transition happen? You just got fed up, tired of the script writing? You're like, you know what? I so much more creative stuff in the book. So
it was more kind of circumstance. The film work just dried up after the 2008 financial crisis. Like everybody closed up shop. Nobody was lending money to make movies, at least on that scale that I was at. And I started hearing about self-publishing and how easy it was to do it. And I was reading blogs by these other authors who had kind of been dumped by their publisher and had totally embraced the self-publishing thing. Like, fuck it, I've always wanted to write a book. I tried once, got halfway through, and gave up. Yeah. But with a bit more writing experience under my belt, I thought maybe I can do it this time. And in fact, the first book was an adaptation of one of my screenplays, which was funny because it's usually the other way around,
Yeah.
So that's how I got into, kind of jumped whole hog into writing novels, and I enjoyed it. Like it's been great. So.
And did you always plan to do some sort of horror from the get go, or?
Yeah, it's just what I am. It's just what I write. Even if I'm writing, like I've written a few things that are like thriller crime, but there's always some weird horror element that creeps its way in there. I just can't keep it out. So yeah, I might as well stick to what I know.
So something happened to you when you were a child to get you mad. I'm kidding. No.
Have you always been drawn to horror movies and all that stuff growing up? And
I loved monsters since I was a kid. Anything spooky. That was my go-to stuff. So.
Back to the script writing real quick. You said you adapted a screenplay into your first book. Do you think that helped out? Sort of having that skeleton structure of the screenplay and
for sure,
fleshing it out into a book.
Yeah, like the one thing you do learn writing movies, you do learn structure because you need to have it, and it's easy to adapt. Take the typical kind of structure and apply it to novels. Everything I learned writing movies, even the shitty ones, helped in learning how to write books. So
with your books, do you plot everything out, or you kind of pants it and see what happens, or
no? I outline them. I used to be really rigorous outlining them, but lately I've been keeping them kind of loose because the story changes. You can outline something to the bone, but it will still change when you're actually writing the damn thing. So now I'm not so rigid. I like to leave myself some room to have things go haywire and let my gut take them in different places. So.
Have you ever gotten so far into one that you started in one direction, but you paint yourself into like a corner? Shit, now I got to start all over. Totally wipe it out.
Yeah, I have done that. But when that happens, it's usually at the outline stage, so it's not like
you have like 20 chapters written. It's usually before. Okay.
No, but I have abandoned projects that I realized halfway through either my original idea was just shit, or it wasn't so much painting myself into a corner, something about it, or maybe my enthusiasm just dropped off. And like I don't know why I'm forcing myself to write this thing. I don't even like it. So put it in a drawer and leave it there. Try something new.
I could see the outlining process being both helpful and stifling at the same time. Like if you're super rigorous with it, like you're trying to hit all these certain beats and I don't know, you just have writer's block or whatever, you can't figure out how to get there. But if you sort of leave yourself more freedom, maybe you can navigate your way to these kind of pillars of the story that you want to have. I can see how it could be helpful and detrimental both.
Sure. Like at best, it should act just as like a skeleton that you can kind of drape the story on. So, but don't be so rigid with it that you don't leave out the spontaneous stuff. Because at some point, no matter how well outlined you've got, the story is going to start to deviate, and the characters are going to kind of start to tell you what they want to do, which is the best thing. Which is like I love when that happens. So, I'm trying to walk a thin line of like creating a backbone and then leaving the rest open to like, wherever my dumb ideas take me.
So like I can't wrap my head around that. Like a lot of authors, like you kind of said, Brian Boyer says that a lot. Like he'll go into a book and has no clue where it's going. The characters sort of tell him the story. And that just, I don't know. I can't wrap my head around you being the author, not knowing what's going to happen in the book. Right. I don't know. That just boggles my mind. I guess I have the right wiring to do it like that.
But those are fun to read though. Like when the characters
they're fun to read.
Tell the story through the dialogue is like, it's easier for the reader too,
Sure.
But you, as the writer, you're sort of the god of that world, and not knowing what's going to happen, that just like boggles my mind that the authors don't know where it's going to go or what the characters are going to do.
Yeah, I have nothing but respect for people who pants it, as they say. I can't imagine like just opening that blank page and just starting. Like I need to kind of know where I'm going. But at the same time, I love when something unexpected happens and I realize, the character's telling me the story instead of the other way around. So.
So you have that happen a lot? Like you'll write a character and originally this is the way you think they are and they just turn out to be something completely different along the way? Yeah,
and I realize that the structure that I've got or the outline is just not going to work because that character is something else. And that's when it'll become really exciting. So it's cool.
Do you do any short stories or like anthology calls or anything, or do you prefer like the full length novella so everything can develop?
You know what? I'm more of a novella novel writer. I'm not good at writing short stories. I've gotten lucky a couple times.
Yeah,
but short stories take a certain kind of, I don't know what it is, like a attention to detail or a very crystalline idea. Like I often either my idea sucks or it just starts running along. I really struggle to write short stories, and I have nothing but respect for like people who can write fantastic short fiction because it's a real art.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be streamlined a little bit because you got to get to the point a lot quicker, I think. So, yeah.
Maybe, like you really need a clear idea of what you want to say. And I just don't have that. So I've kind of pretty much given up writing short stories. Like if an idea comes to me, I'll write it, but I'm not actively writing any short stories. And if I see an anthology call, I just kind of ignore it because I don't. I got nothing.
Like I've tried to write a few short stories, and they're like, "This needs to be 5,000 words," and it's like it's 5,700. It's like, where am I going to cut 700 words at? Because there's such a finite space. But like novellas and the special novels, you have so much more breathing room to do whatever you want. I feel like it is hard to tell this particular story in this certain strict amount of words.
Yeah, it's a real finely honed skill, and I haven't developed it. So, and I don't think I'm going to bother. So,
have you heard of Drabbles before?
No, what is that? I keep seeing people talk about Drabbles. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's a exactly 100 word story, which just seems so hard to do.
Also, somebody released a whole book, right? Who did that?
Wayne Finland did a whole collection of Drabbles.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Huh. So he tells this little short, concise story in exactly 100 words for each one, which just that seems way harder than a whole short story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that. It's like the famous Hemingway story, like a story told in 2 sentences or whatever. You know, the one with the baby shoes. Whatever. I guess in some ways, if you constrain something so much, it really does take more creativity to work with that.
Yeah, I think it totally does.
Canvas. And I'm sure we've all read books where we're kind of like, somebody needed to tear out 40 pages of this.
Right. Stephen King. But I mean, whenever you see those like the calls for short stories for anthologies, and it's like 5,000, 6,000 words or whatever. What I do when I get rejected, I'm like, hey, I can double the words and make it decent and then release it myself. So, yeah.
No, true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So what are the books you have coming out? You teased the one. Can you tease them at all? I don't.
One is about a woman surviving the invasion of Berlin at the end of World War II. I'm not quite sure where that story came from. And the other one, it's a riff on a classic, but I kind of want to keep it under wraps for now. But I'm really happy with how both of them turned out.
Mm-hmm.
The Berlin story, though, I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it. Just I don't know, the subject matter. I'm kind of like, I don't know, whatever. I might sit on that one for a bit and just see where the public mood is. Sorry, it's hard to explain without going into it, but yeah.
Are they both novels? Are they novellas or?
They're both short novels, so they're
short novels.
Yeah, like 50 to 60K kind of thing, which is a kind of a short novel. It's a bit bigger than novella, but yeah. So right now, I've got those two finished. I'm kind of like figuring out what to do with them, and right now I'm going through one of those creative funks where I'm trying to generate ideas, but nothing's working, and it's really frustrating. It's driving me up the fucking wall.
Well, you've put out what 3 books in the last year and a half or so? Lure, Lost in Ice Cream, and Taboo in Four Colors. So
that's more than what people have done in their lifetime, to be honest with you.
Well, they are short books, so
still, I mean, they can be short, but that's still.
Did you say they're short books or shit books?
Short.
Okay.
They might be short books. Who might I say? But
I don't know. I have a feeling that this is going to be on a lot of people's top lists this year.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, the reception's been great, and I've been overwhelmed by how generous people have been about it and stuff. So it's been really great to see. I'm really happy with this book and how it's been put out there and now being received. So
there's a twist in it that had me cussing at the book earlier, but we won't go into detail.
Don't give it away.
Not at all. Not at all.
Remember, like Catriona said, it's not a twist; it's a reveal.
It's a reveal. That's correct.
No twist. It's reveal.
It's a reveal that had me.
If it's all a dream, Tim, I'm going to throw the book.
And I wouldn't blame you. I hate that.
The thing is, I was about 3/4 in, and I thought I had a feeling of where it's going to go, and I wouldn't accept it. I wasn't accepting it, And then it was there. I was like, "You son of a bitch."
Well, I've got a theory. I don't know if I can really say what I think it is without giving anything away, but there's something that's been hinted at. Like, remember what happened last time? Something happened. So I think I kind of know where that's maybe going. Although that was very vague and probably no one knows what I'm talking about. I can't say any more details because it'll give it away.
That was a good comment there, Brad. Something's going to happen, but it didn't.
It's something that Kevin and Eric and Mark did before, and they're wanting to do it again. He's like, remember what happened last time? He's like, no, nothing happened last time.
And I have no clue how to pronounce the name of the one sister.
Which, the older one?
Tilly.
Leah?
Claudia?
Liesel?
Oh, Liesel.
Is it Liesel? Okay.
Yeah, it's the same. I think one of the girls from The Sound of Music, his name is Liesel.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a strange name.
What is the lady who runs Clash? That's not her name, is it? Her name's Lisa, right?
Yeah, Lisa. That's
different
right.
spelling, Lisa.
I was like, what is this? Liesel? What is it?
Well, Jay, you can't read anyway, so
I know. Yeah, my eyes are bad. So yeah. So as we start winding down here a little bit, of course, WASP is your book out now. But is there a book from the past that you maybe were surprised with the reaction, or thought it should have been more, or you wish more people give a bigger chance to? You know what I'm saying? Or
right. There's one I wrote years ago, which was I guess more of a crime or a thriller called Just Like Jesse James.
okay.
But it was self-published and not very many people wrote it or read it. But I always liked that one. But again,
I mean, is it available, or people can still find it? Or
yeah, no, it's up on Amazon.
Okay.
But it's just.
Is that a Western one, or at least kind of Westernish?
It's not. It's a small town treasure hunt, really. But we put a bunch of kids looking for the supposed lost treasure of Jesse James.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a bit like. Do you remember that movie, A Simple Plan? I think it was.
Yeah.
Somebody finds a bag full of money out in the woods. It was a bit like that, and it was a lot of fun to write. But again, not many people know about it because it's just kind of died in obscurity. So,
sort of where I first, I guess, kind of heard your name was when Heart's Stranger Dreadful came out, because a lot of people raved about this one.
Yeah.
That was the first book I had where I went with a publisher. Everything else had been self-published, and I had been reading more independently pushed like books from small presses and becoming aware of them. I was kind of like, I think I want to see what this is like. And so the difference between self-publishing and going with an indie press was like night and day, at least from my perspective. Because self-publishing, I was just on my own. I had, because of the book series, the series had built up its own readership, not huge, but a pretty solid base.
Yeah, some loyal fans.
Yeah, which is great, which is fantastic. And they stuck, so many of them stuck with me through 11 fucking books, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But going with Off Limits for Heart's Strange, it was like a huge difference seeing the kind of reaction. And also, finding sort of my community of fellow horror writers and readers and fans and stuff. So
that was early on for Off Limits too. Wasn't it like the second or third book they put out?
I thought it was the second, wasn't it? Or
no, it was the third. It was Crossroads was first, and then Haley Pepper's Worm and His Kings.
Yeah, I forgot that one.
I think mine was third. So yeah.
They started out hot. I mean, they just put out a cover reveal for J.W. McCarthy's new book, which looks great. I can't think of what
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I think Off Limits has some really good stuff coming out this year, including a sequel to A Worm and His Kings from Haley. But
with the series you wrote, and I don't know if you'd even be able to tell, but did you feel like they stuck with you for the series? Did you feel like any of those readers crossed over and read any of your other stuff, or is that like you can't even really calculate?
A few have, but again, it's just anecdotal. Like most of the Spook Show readers I know on Facebook, which I'm hardly ever on anymore. But when I put up news of the new books, the indie press stuff, a number of them would respond and go on to read it. Like not a huge number, but some of them would. So
yeah, there
was some crossover, which was nice. So
that built-in fan base a little bit. I think series are good for that. A trilogy up to a series, because they stick with you for that long, and they're like, "Oh, what else does it have?" They go check out your other stuff.
Which makes sense. It's exactly how I have, how I approach it. Like here's an author who I know is, for me, a solid deal. So whatever they put out, I'm looking forward to reading. Right? It's just kind of how it works. So
almost
automatic buy,
instant buy, instant read author.
Yeah, exactly. So,
where can people find you, Tim? I know you're on Twitter, obviously, but where else? You have a website or anything? Or
yeah, I've got a website called it's timmcgregorauthor.com. I don't know how imaginative. And yeah, mostly on Twitter and sometimes on Instagram, talking nonsense or just being a goof. And that's about it, really.
So I did want to say, or at least mention, you have a release party for this. Was it Little Ghost Books? Is that what it's
right?
called?
Yeah. Next a week from now, next Friday, I'm having a little launch event at Little Ghost Books, which is my favorite shop because it's all horror. And Chris and Jay, the owners, are fantastic people, and they just got a puppy, and he's really cute.
I wish that was not. I don't know, probably like 27 hours away for me to drive up there. I would totally go.
Is that all? Is that it?
Yeah. I don't know how long it is. But they post pictures and stuff on Twitter and Instagram all the time, and it looks like a super cool place.
Oh, did they really? I got to check that out.
It really is. I mean, like it's also a cafe. They've got a coffee shop, and they've got the little patio at the back. They've got that giant skeleton.
There's a
out there.
giant skeleton in the back. Yeah.
It's a great place, and Chris, the owner's just such an awesome person. So yeah, and like they're like 4 blocks from me. Like
That's awesome.
Yeah, it couldn't be any sweeter. So
that would be dangerous to live that close to a bookstore because I would spend so much money.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, but it is a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's Wasps in the ice cream, and we're about a week out
on the 7th.
Yeah, a few days. So.
And this one's Raw Dog Screaming Press. Yeah,
I will pimp Little Ghost Books. So they do have a subscription service, kind of like Nightworms, where you can buy, I guess, whatever books are that month, and they mail it to you. I guess it's a surprise. I don't know if you get to pick or if they curate it. I think if they curate it every month, and it's the same.
I do, but I don't know if they tell them what they're getting. Just because, funnily enough, I sent a copy of WASP to Erica Robin, who is a popular reviewer.
I think she's on. I think she's one of the hosts of Dead Headspace now.
Yeah, she's now on a regular host. And she just got it. She just posted a thank you to me on Twitter, but she had ordered Taboo through Little Ghost book service, and it just showed up today, which was kind of cool to see.
Cool. So support your indie bookstores.
Yeah,
there's one in Louisville, which is close to be about an hour away. The Butcher Cabin Books.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Going to. It's cool. It's a tiny place. It's like the size of my office, but it looks like a little cabin out in the woods. The inside, it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So if you ever travel down to the States, Tim, you should stop by Books, and I'll come hang out.
Do you ever get to the States any, or like forget us?
No. I'm going to go down for StokerCon. In June.
That's in Philadelphia, right? I think Philadelphia this year.
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah, so a little closer to me this time, but I was avoiding the States when you guys had that orange back in the office. But
beware of the orange man.
Yeah, but I'll be there in the summer. So
yeah. Do you get to go to many cons and book signings and stuff?
Not really. I went to StokerCon for the first time last year, and that's really kind of the first real writers con that I've gone to. Like, there's a few others, like AuthorCon looks like a lot of fun, but I have to sort of pick and choose. So
yeah,
but they are fun though. Like, it's great meeting people that you've only known online. It's really mind blowing.
Yeah,
I'm sure the networking is great though. Getting to meet all the authors and publishers and stuff that are there, fans and reviewers and.
Yeah, and everyone's really super nice, so it's great.
Or it could, backfire one day. You're really a dick in real life, I already want to know you online now. Let's go back. Yeah. But leave it to me to bring that up.
Jay always ends it like on a terrible sour note, don't you?
No, I get it,
yeah. Tim, it's been a
goes on,
pleasure.
you're like, what if your book just sucks, God? Or what did you say to him at the end? You said something horrible to him at the end.
You guys took that out the wrong way.
What did you say to him at the end? It was something horrible.
I'd have to go back and listen. But no, I was just playing the devil's advocate a couple times, just saying. No, what I was saying was, he's got the fans that even if his book did suck, they would still stick with them.
Right.
It's like the rock bands.
They might still read the books if they ended up being a wet blanket.
Yeah, I mean, if you have one bad album, your real fans are going to stay with you. So,
which one's the bad Pearl Jam album, Jay?
That doesn't exist.
Uh-oh.
None of those exist. No. Tim, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. I know we're keeping you from your Canadian television this evening. It's funny because I know we had the same shows, but for some reason in my head, TV shows in other countries.
Don't do it, Jay.
Like, say we have like the Andy Griffin show. Like, I don't know if Canada theirs is the Randy Griffin show. I don't know. Imitate. I don't know. I always think it's different, even though these shows are like, I don't know where I'm going.
No, Canada has a long history of like really shitty knockoffs of
like
American things.
Yeah. instead of the office, it's like the dorm, or I don't know.
The Mountie Station.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm going with this.
Lumberjack camp.
Yeah.
Have
What
you
a-
seen the movie Ginger Snaps, Tim?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact,
Horrible.
That's Jay's favorite Canadian horror
That is
movie of all time.
So horrible.
really, you actually don't like them?
I hate that movie.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah.
Jay was on another podcast where they would talk about movies. He rated it like -20 stars.
Whoa.
He just shit all over it.
Man.
It's just so bad. I did not like any of it. Yeah.
Well,
What a way to end the show, Brad, to bring up a bad movie.
No, it's a great movie.
I'm with you, Brad.
Okay.
I think you're just the outlier, Jay. You just have horrible taste in movies.
Probably. That's a wrap. We're going to end it now. Okay. For our special guest, Tim McGregor, thanks so much. I mean, hey, look for this in about a week.
On Tuesday, February 7th.
I mean,
From
you
Raw
have plenty
Dog.
to choose from here. You got Lore, you got Taboo. You can go old school.
Old
Is that
school.
considered old school?
Old school.
Old school from like 2 years ago. Old school.
I'm telling you guys, when you read this, it's going to be on a lot of people's top list, just so you know.
That's right, Jay.
That's it.
Crystal said Canada gave us the grassy high.
That's right. Eat that, Jay.
All right. That's it. We're done. Tim, thanks so much. Totally appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
For
Tim, thanks for
Brad
coming on,
over
man.
there, I'm Jay. Till we meet again, everyone stay safe. I'm glad you got to see me.
That's the way the cookie crumbles, Jay. I love you.
That's the way.
Cheers.
The